Hello, everyone. Today we are going to talk some interesting strategy which you could use. And today we have Chad Muncy from USA, from North Carolina. He is an experienced marketer for more than 20 years and an entrepreneur. Welcome, Chad, to the show. And could you just explain us give us a little bit more what you are exactly doing and like what is about yourself? Can you just tell us something about yourself?
Sure. First, I appreciate the opportunity to be on here, Abdul. And I live in a small town called Swansboro in North Carolina in the United States. And I have a family. I've been an entrepreneur most of my life. I was a marketing director for a large company, and I decided I hated the corporate environment where people were telling me what to do. And so I went out on my own. I built a company. I sold it. I moved to the coast, the beach right here at the ocean, and I started a marketing firm. And I've been doing that and helping other people learn how to start and grow and scale their own businesses. So that's kind of the short story of what I do and where I came from.
That's great. That's great. So that is, I think, like now we know who you are. Like without taking much time, shall we come into? Can you tell us what is the strategy which we can use now? Everything has changed with COVID, and the marketing environment, the world which we are living, everything has changed. So, what is the strategy which you recommend us? We can use it for 2021 and beyond that, which we can start getting benefits for our businesses.
Yeah, sure. Lots of things. Obviously, everybody knows. COVID's changed. This put fear in everybody. People have started pivoting what they're doing, where they're working, how they're making money, and a lot of business owners that I talk to, a lot of my clients that I help market their own businesses have come to me, and they're just afraid, completely afraid. I don't know what to do. I don't know how I'm going to keep my customers. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I have to sit everyone down and say, listen, business hasn't changed in the way that you go about it, the way you market it, the way you make money. What's changed is the customers have changed. Customers that you used to reach out to that worked at a corporate job, and you marketed at a certain time, and you sent Facebook ads while they were at home. Some of them are all at home now. Customers that used to work at home for a corporate company have now got fired, and they're working for themselves. They're business owners themselves. So we have to go back completely to the basics. And over the last 9 or 10 months, all these business owners that have fear in them need to realize that not the strategies haven't changed, the customer has changed. So the strategy I'm going to talk about really quickly, well, I say quickly, but I have a few things to talk about. First, the first thing is we need to go back to our target customers, and we have to identify the unique target customer. Even if you've already done this, even if you've done it in the past several years ago, you started your business 2 years ago, that has changed. So you've got to go back to that. You've got to re-identify what your avatar is. Have you ever heard that term, your avatar? So you need to sit down with a piece of notebook paper and think through, who is my target customer now? Where are they at? Are they working at a corporate job anymore because of COVID? Or are they working at home? Do they own a business? What do they look like? Write down all of that information and see if those target audiences have shifted or pivoted. Does that make sense?
Definitely, right? Yeah.
So the business owners need to sit down and write down that. That's the basics. Start with that line, draw a line in the sand. And then they have to identify how that target customer is perceiving, or how are they were affected by COVID. How are they seeing the situation? And is there anything that I can do that would influence them to purchase my product more? For instance, I have worked with people who own wedding businesses, wedding planners, people who rent out big tents for events and all that sort of stuff. And obviously their businesses were hit very hard because of the COVID restrictions. They weren't able to rent tents to people who had crowds because crowds were no longer gathering. People who were wedding planners were planning, weddings with 300 people. Well, they're not going to have a wedding now. So what they have to do is they have to redefine their target customer. Their target customer might not be somebody who's looking for doing a wedding with 300 people now. It might be looking for somebody who is doing a private ceremony at a small venue where they're separating 6 feet apart and only having 15 people. But they're still looking to spend that money with somebody. If you are out there marketing, though, and you're saying, I help people that want to have these huge weddings, nobody's going to come to you now. So you have to reposition yourself as the expert on smaller, more intimate ceremonies rather than the expert on huge weddings, because nobody's doing huge weddings. And it's just a pivot. It's a shift, and it's a change in their mindset as to what they're looking for. So it's really simple. And a lot of business owners have got all these new strategies that they're trying to do, and they're trying to do these new marketing campaigns and new advertising. But the problem isn't that. The problem is that their foundational customer has changed, and they're never going to get those customers because they don't exist anymore. Right? I mean, those customers don't exist anymore. People who are looking for these, like the wedding people who are looking for having huge weddings, they don't exist anymore. So you have to change your target customer, and you have to evaluate a change that will increase sales for current customers too. There are a lot of people who, like restaurants, for instance. I've worked with restaurants who have like fine dining restaurants. Obviously, that doesn't exist right now during COVID because people are not gathering in these places to have fine dining. So I have one friend who has a marketing agency, and they have a customer who's a fine dining restaurant. And what they did, they actually became, almost overnight, they became a delivery service for higher dollar burgers. So they were doing hamburgers, and they took all their wait staff and they started making them delivery drivers for these burgers, and they killed it. So you have to be willing to pivot and even change slightly your business model to get your product. Your product doesn't necessarily have to change, but the way that people perceive your product, such as the wedding business, the restaurants, they were still doing food, but they were hamburgers instead of fancy, meals with asparagus and fish and all that stuff. So the customer has changed. You have to identify your target customer, who that is, and then you have to evaluate the change that will increase sales for current clients based off those changes. And the four things that I would say, if somebody wants to figure out who their best client is you write down these questions and you answer them. What does my best client look like right now during COVID? How much money do they want to spend with me? For instance, in the wedding business, they might not want to spend $1,000. They might want to spend $400 on a private ceremony. So how much money do they want to spend? That's question number 2. Number 3 would be, where do they hang out online? Where can I find them online? And number 4, what age group are they in? Because that's going to be the marketing. If you're targeting older people who love emails and check their email every day, then email is going to be your best way of marketing. If your age group are millennials or younger people, kill it on social media. So after you figure out what your product is now and how I need to put it out there, then you start marketing in those ways. So that's really kind of a non-in-depth way of looking at your target customer and kind of the strategy that you need to do to change it. In my marketing agency, lastly, there are 7 things that I always look for when I'm doing a marketing campaign, or after I identify somebody's target customer, how we want to proceed. There are 7 key components, which are it actually spells perfect. So I call this the perfect strategy because the acronym is PERFECT. And what that stands for is P is passionately convey the product. E is showcase the total customer experience. So product experience. R is reach the right audience. F is explain how the customer will be fulfilled. So fulfillment. E is execute through the proper media channels. So that's your marketing. C is communicate your relatable story. Every product, every business has a story. And T is track the results. They have to be trackable so that you can look at them 6 months down the road and figure out how you need to pivot if they're not working, if those marketing things aren't working. So perfect. Remember, product experience, reach, fulfillment, execution, communication, and tracking. And after that, I think that's a pretty good strategy if you'll start looking at that.
Definitely, definitely. That's wonderful. Like it's something like an eye opening for many people. Like sometimes it might be we know it like most of the things we might know it, but only thing we might not look it in that perspective. That is where the problem starts with. So
Correct.
like just to summarize what you like we discussed today. Like if I say that like identifying your uh, like avatar, that is what is most important because your customer, like your target customer, is basically changed. So the avatar is basically changed. So you need to come up with a new avatar. That is what you're saying. Like just to make it little bit one more step easy for people who have not heard the word avatar. Like, can you just explain to say what is an avatar and what is like just in like if you can just give us a brief about what is an avatar, that will help people who is not familiar with this term.
Sure. So your avatar is basically a character that you make up that will be your target customer. It will have what their ethnicity is, it will have their where they work at, it will have how much money they make, it will have what they love to do, where they hang out online, what their job is. And once you create this character, this is the person that will most likely purchase your product. And once you create this, you write all of this stuff down, as much stuff as you can possibly think. You are literally, when you describe your avatar, you're literally describing your perfect customer. And you can even give them a name. Give them a name. Call them Fred. Or if your avatar is a woman, if your product is jewelry, you would name her whatever female name, Jenny. And Jenny is your avatar. When you think about marketing, you think about Jenny. What do I need to do? Where would Jenny hang out? Where does Jenny work? How much money does Jenny make? Some people have sell hair products. What colors hair does Jenny have? What color does she dye her? You literally define every aspect of her or his life, and that is the avatar that you aim all of your marketing at. It's what you design your entire product around, your company. Your avatar is the most important thing in your business, because the problem is once people make an avatar, they think that the avatar never changes. But you need to think of your avatar as a living, breathing person that changes. Their likes change, their friends change, their workplace changes. And once you think about that, then your business becomes a living, breathing entity, and it will grow along with that avatar, and you can constantly make a profit year over year.
That's great. That's great. That's so like anyone who even doesn't know what is an avatar, like it gave a good, clear understanding on who is an avatar, because the avatar in understanding the avatar and make it more clear and more defining the avatar is going to make your marketing easy, and like your process is going to be much easier if you have a clear, very defined avatar. So like just
Yes.
I just took some notes about what you when you are saying. Like I think what you need to think of is the four questions which you said we need to ask. That is, one is what does my best client look like, and the second one is how much do they want to spend, and because with the present pandemic situation, these variables has changed drastically,
Yes.
and where do they hang around most, and like especially online, where do they hang around with? Is it, are they on Facebook, are they on Instagram, or what are they doing? So if you know that, because that also has changed drastically comparing to before the
Yep.
pandemic. And like what age group, like if you look at it now, more sometimes more elderly people are online, so we need to know
That's
what
right.
it is. So like if you identify these four questions, like more or less we will be able to define our avatar in a more precise manner. And the next thing with what you highlighted was that was perfect. Perfect is what perfect is like. What we'll do is to make the process, like sometimes we as humans we will not grasp it and remember it. So what we'll do is to make it more easier. Like we'll give it. I hope you can give me a small text portion, like
Sure.
write up. So what I can do is I can share it along with this video. You can check this the description of this video, so you can get the what is it and like a brief summary of what we discussed today. So if you don't want to uh, if you couldn't take it down, yes, we'll give you a thing. I think that's great, Chad. Like it was a great session and a great insight, which an eye opening for us. And thank you very much for sharing your expertise, your 20 years of experience with marketing. And in a situation like this, we never expected this to happen. And
Yeah.
the world which we are today is totally different from what we were there last year or so. And we will not never be able to go back to that world which we lived earlier. It is going to be a totally different world. And this is, we have to face the reality. No options. Like as you said, like if we start from the basics, there's nothing can go wrong. And just to conclude it, finally, would you like to add something just to conclude it?
Sure. I mean, everything that I always leave with my clients is just remember why you started your business. Everybody that started their business, we call ourselves a storytelling marketing agency. Everybody has a story. The reason they started their business, there was some kind of passion there. Some people did start their business out of necessity, especially in COVID. They needed to make money, but still, that person has a story to tell through their product. And no matter how big you get, no matter how much you struggle, if you're struggling, remember what your story is, remember what your passion is behind it. And when you can convey that through your marketing or through just even what you're doing, you're creating videos. People can go out and create videos and put them online for free. Convey your passion to people and they'll see that, and that attracts people to the real reason that you started your business, your real product. And yeah, if anybody else needs anything or wants to reach out to contact me, they can. My stuff is right on the screen. My Instagram is at so much Chad. My Facebook is /CD Muncie, and our business website is f5mediasolutions.com, and they can go there and contact me through that too.
Okay, thank you very much. And it's a pleasure having you and sharing your ideas with us. Hope we'll be able to catch up with more strategies in the coming days.
That'd be
Thank you
cool.
very much, Shad. Thank you again for sharing your valuable time and your expertise, which everyone could get benefited. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you for having me on, Abdul. I appreciate it.